Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of CookieCast. Today on CookieCast is a wrestling podcast. That's right, it's getting over. And we're talking pay-per-views, as we like to do. Yep, it's Elimination Chamber. We've got results from the Royal Rumble. And yeah, predictions for Elimination Chamber. So that's going to be that. If you're a YouTube watcher, well, we've got something a little special for you. Yes, we've got a special intro video. So check that out in a moment. And while you're checking it out, just make sure you are a subscriber, because they're the cool kids. You can also subscribe on audio by going to SoundCloud or iTunes. So yeah, you could do that as well. So here we go. This is CookieCast Getting Over.
Hello, yes, Danhausen here. You're listening to, I forgot this. Danhausen, very nice, very evil, very famous. Almost forgot the most important part of this message to you. Anyways, you're listening to the Getting Over podcast on CookieCast. Isn't that nice? Ooh, cookies. Anyways, it would be very nice and very evil if you would like, share, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts and YouTube Hausen. Love that, Danhausen.
Go, Stu, take it away.
Hello. We're all here again. Thanks for joining us. As you can maybe see on the YouTubes right now, I'm joined this evening by Andy Cook.
Hello. Oh, mate. Oh, I need my jewellery.
All right.
Oh, here we go.
I feel like I've sold him short already. I'm going to start the master of the hardware, Mr. Andrew Cook, Mr. Paul Williams.
Hello.
And Mr. Matthew Moore. And obviously me, Stuart Woodmansey. You've probably guessed by now, by the title and the fact that you've tuned in, it's time for some getting over. Also, you might have heard our little friend on the beginning of the podcast this time around, so massive thank you to Danhausen for the introduction. If you've not seen any of his stuff yet, go check him out, well worth it. So, as it has been lauded in front of us right now, let's start, as always, with the Getting Over Predictions Championship. So, regular listeners will remember that Andy is the current holder. If you didn't, he's just watch the video. And he tightened his grasp on that gold last time out with the first ever perfect card on the predictions from the TLC pay-per-view. Now, Royal Rumble kind of poses an entirely different challenge for that perfect card scoring. But could it be done? No, is the answer to that question.
No.
Not by anybody that was on the podcast last time. And again, special shout out to Sarah. She didn't win the title, I'll tell you that bit now, but she was the only one to actually correctly guess or predict. I'll say guess, because let's face it, it was the winner of one of the two Rumble matches. So well done for that. We do have a new guest predictor this episode, so stay tuned for that. A bit more on that to come later on. But in reverse order from the scores this time around, unfortunately, bottom of the pile this time around was Mr. Matthew Moore with just the 1 point. If you're interested, Matt, if you remember, that was from Roman Reigns winning the Universal title last man standing match against KO. Sarah was next up with 4 points, pulling out Christian as well as a surprise entrant.
That was inspired.
She did all right with that.
Reading them dirt sheets.
She's been reading them more than I have then, because I got Rollins, but I'm still. I mean, that was pretty much nailed on, wasn't it? Really, but so next, and I guess in third or second, depending on how we're going to do this, was Mr. Paul Williams with 5 points. So the eagle-eared may have just picked up a slight spoiler amongst that, and we do have a tie for first place this time around. So Andy still has, for the time being, one hand on that title. But for a change, so do I. I had preempted this, and I did contact Mr. Moore on the sly yesterday without any comeback. He hasn't told me what this is whatsoever. As an impartial adjudicator, Matt was looking at preparing a tiebreak question for us.
I'll never get a tiebreak.
So, have you managed to garner a question, Mr. Moore?
I have.
I will say at this point, if it is ridiculously hard on me, I feel like it's going to be payback from that the SummerSlam TLC question that I fucked up the other month. But
yeah.
we shall see.
I should have been a dick about it. Just send the answers to Andy.
Yes, you should have. Sorry, just checking email.
All right, so as it kind of ever since he took the Money in the Bank contract case from Otis, Miz has been teasing cashing in the contract. Obviously, he's won it one time before. So, how many days in total has he held the Money in the Bank contract over both times that he's had it?
Oh, man.
That is a stupendously good question.
Oh, my God.
Well done, Mr. Moore.
Well,
We'll give them champions. Was it champions? Like
advantage.
so you can choose. You can choose to champions advantage. You can go decide if you want to go first or second, Andy.
I'm absolutely going second. There is no question.
So how many days has he had it over the two times that he's had the?
Hang on. You see, YouTube listeners will be seeing all of the mathematical skills of my counting on my fingers right now.
Sod it. I'm going first. Right, Matt. You ready?
Yeah.
306.
306.
I had actually just written something down, and it is marginally lower. I've gone for 287.
We have a new champion.
Yes.
247 days.
Woo! That's good. Excellent. The reign is over. The reign is over.
Well, Stu, congratulations to you. I can be a gracious former champion. Congratulations to you. You are more than welcome to come and get the title.
He doesn't have to. He just has to reach behind him and pick that one off the wall. Yeah, exactly.
If Boris has his way on,
mine's officially branded. None of that other branding nonsense. We've got proper branding on this show.
Andy has got a point. Like, the one behind me is just a dirty replica. It's not the official Cookie Cast title. So.
Congrats, Stu. Well done.
Thank you.
yes,
I knew my reign of terror. I mean, my title run had to come to an abrupt end at some point.
I didn't realise we were trying this time round. I thought that we were still on the let Mr. Cook win kind of thing. So.
Make it look real.
Well, I think
my picks looked like I wasn't even trying.
We mentioned last time out, didn't we, that we're now into the third year, and like to be fair, I think this is probably, I get it once a year based on the on the previous rankings, so I'll enjoy this because it's happening quite early for 2021.
What we need is we need like an official statistician to go through the combined title reigns of like the amount of days held by each person and stuff like that.
If only we knew some kind of stats mistress.
I was just about to say, what, like a mistress of the stats? months, who's recently been furloughed for the next 9 months.
Oh dear. Well, after that nice little surprise for me, because I didn't know which way that was going to go at all. Royal Rumble last time out. Let's get to it. So, if you haven't seen the Royal Rumble by now, I'm guessing most people listening along will probably have at least have seen some spoilers. For those that haven't, we're about to, so strap yourselves in. So the men's match was won by Edge, and the women's match was won by Bianca Belair. What's the general consensus, fellas? Are we happy with the winners?
No, because I didn't pick either of them. I mean, you can see why they went with the Edge pick, I suppose, as it's that, comeback, heartwarming story and stuff like that. And obviously, he went into the match as number 1, even though I'm pretty sure the night before they announced him as number 2. So,
I'm not sure about that. I think didn't they just announce the first 2, and that's how they get.
I thought that, but I look back through it, and I think they actually did put Orton as number 1 and Edge as number 2. So I think they just ballsed it up, maybe, but who knows? And with the Belair one, yeah, that's fair enough. I always like new people getting into the title picture, so it works for me personally.
You think it's too early for her, or right time?
I don't know. She's been on the main roster for what? Just under a year. Because did she come up after WrestleMania last year?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's been people that have been on the main roster for shorter that have had a title shot. Like Lacey Evans was pretty much thrust straight into it, wasn't she? So
we'll get to her in good time.
I think the thing for me is that like she did a bit on the NXT kind of roster, but wasn't like mega on there, and then up until I suppose the past month or so, they haven't really given her that much of a push on the main roster. And I must admit, I find the Est thing one of the most annoying gimmicks out there. It's like,
I'm alright with it. I don't mind it. I think it's something to latch onto. I think I don't have a problem with it, and I think, at least for her, having like the transition from NXT onto the main roster, they've actually finally got a gimmick that she could use in NXT, and it's instantly transferable. Because, like, how many other people who have come up have had, even albeit slight modifications. I mean, everybody knows what happened to the Viking Experience. Like just slight modifications on the transition, and it's kind of like stunted any momentum that they might have, whereas her, like she's been allowed to keep the same thing, and for me she hit the ground running, and like without being able to reach for my stats book of stickers, as I'm sure we'll get to that at some point as well. There was a stat in there about during NXT she was undefeated for like so many days, so whilst she never held the NXT women's title, she was pretty prominent and pretty dominant, and like I think it's rare that like somebody would come up from NXT having not been champion and then be thrown straight into the title picture essentially on one of the so-called main roster shows. So I think she's done all right. I'm happy to put it this way. I'm happier with Belair winning the women's than I am happier that I'm definitely happier with that than Edge winning the men's. I'm okay with it, but there will always be this part-time or full-timer debate, and I know technically he's on the show all the time and what have you, but he would have been one of the guys like absolutely hammering for younger talent to get the push, but yet then he's come back himself and sort of done that. So I'm a bit, I don't know, because it's not like he's gonna. I don't think he'll go against Drew either. I think it's going to be Roman Reigns by the way he's going. So it's not like he's done it to put like a new talent over or anything else like that. It had that feel good moment, which I'm okay with and I'm happy with. But I don't know. I think they could have done it in another way, and I think they could have given it to somebody who's not had like the world title picture like put on them previously. So that's just my thoughts.
Even though it didn't really kind of boost ratings or anything like that, the kind of thing that he did with NXT with like putting Balor and Pete Dunne over was good.
Yeah, it was. And like, speaking of the, have you guys seen NXT Vengeance Day?
Yes.
I enjoyed the hell out of that. I thought all the matches were great on that, and it, with the exception of the women's final, but it was okay. But I don't know, like dropping Edge into that picture now. He did make an interesting point about he's been, it's the one title that he's kind of got access to that he's not held, and it would be kind of cool to see him versus Balor if Balor still got the NXT title by that point. I think that him versus Balor excites me more as a match than him versus Reigns or McIntyre.
The Reigns one doesn't interest me at all, but then I think you'd struggle to find get a match that even though we'll probably come to it in a bit, but like I don't know, with Reigns I don't know what, it's just not going to look good for Edge, considering like when he left he was such a big kind of character on the show, and then he's going to look small compared to Reigns. He's going to look he's going to look really small next to McIntyre, who's just so tall.
Mm-hmm.
So he's probably going to look good up against Balor if they're going to keep it on Balor. But you never know, do you? But I just can't see. I can't see it. I don't think it's going to be the NXT title.
No, I can't see either myself. Like I say, I think they're all guns blazing for Reigns, even though they're kind of keeping it as masked as they can at the moment. I can't see him going against anybody else but Reigns. But I don't think that'll be the best match, and I also don't think that I'm going to throw this in early before we even get there. I don't think he'll win. I don't think he'll win against Reigns. I think the only way that this Reigns title reign should end is with somebody who's kind of thrown at him again, based on what I was saying before. It needs to be somebody that's not held a world title previously, and it's almost like the shock factor, because I think that's the only way it's going to happen. It'll be one of the ones where nobody expects that. They're going to have a look in somebody. Dare I say it? Somebody like a Cesaro, maybe.
I don't think there'd be people disappointed if that was the end. If that was the end case,
no,
I think there'd be a large groundswell for that one.
But that's what I mean. That's like people will bash WWE for like not kind of promoting people, and I've kind of done a little bit myself already on this, but that's a way of making an instant star, because there's already somebody like a Cesaro, like a Nakamura. To a certain extent, even though he's already had the Universal title, like Kevin Owens, who there's already that kind of underlying support for, but that'll just push him over the edge for the next bit. So that's the only way I see it happening. I don't see Edge taking the title off him, so I think it would be a waste doing it that way personally. But yeah, so a few numbers for you, seeing as we all know Paul really likes the statistics. Most eliminations this time out. Looking at the predictions, nobody guessed. Nobody guessed either of the most eliminations. But this time around, the men's match, actually, there was 3 people tied on 4 eliminations, which was Big E, Damian Priest, and Seth Rollins. Weirdly, a guy who wasn't even in the match had 2 eliminations, which was AJ Styles' helper in Omos. Wasn't officially in, and I kind of guess the Iron Man of the match was kind of spoiled essentially by the fact we've already talked about the winner going in at number 1, so that would have been Edge, and lasted a little over 58 minutes. In the women's match, nobody guessed it. But if your memory serves, or if you are given a second guess, I think most people probably would have picked Rhea Ripley anyway. Rhea Ripley was always going to have a good showing, but she actually got 7 eliminations. But it was a close run thing. Bearing in mind that the top 3 eliminated over half of the field themselves, which Rhea Ripley was 7, Shayna Baszler had 6, Bianca Belair had 4, and she was tied with Nia Jax on the whole at number 4. So yeah, Belair was obviously the Iron Woman in that one as well, going in at number 3, and she went a little over 56 minutes. So kind of, not too far off Edge's statistics as well. Did anybody take the bets that we discussed last time? Did anybody actually have a little flutter in the end, or did we forget? Oh, go on, Andy. Any good?
Yeah, I lost lots of money on my bets. Yeah, I might as well. Funnily enough, I might as well have not bothered, because do you know who didn't win the Royal Rumble? Yeah, Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar did not win the Royal Rumble.
Well,
could have kept me 25p.
I didn't pick. I spent a fiver on my different bets, and I did. I don't know if you can call it a success, because technically I didn't win a whole £5 back. But I did put £1 on Bayley and Bianca Belair lasting over 25 minutes each in the Rumble, which got me £3.25 of my initial £5 back. But then I did put £1 of that on technically a WWE related bet, in the fact of Gronkowski to score the first touchdown in the Super Bowl, which netted me £20. So, but, it was all coming up roses that for a week at least, shall we say? On the I was happy with the money, not happy with Gronk still actually carrying that out. It was kind of, that theory of if you say something out loud and put a bet on it, the absolute opposite will happen. That was kind of where I was going, but at least this time I got some money out of it. So yeah. So moving away from the Rumble, we've already briefly touched on NXT Vengeance Day has happened. The first Women's Dusty Classic winners have been crowned in Raquel Gonzalez and Dakota Kai, and it has been confirmed they will get a WWE Women's Tag Team title match. That, as it stands, will be against Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler at some point in the future. I'd be quite happy to see those titles take a bit of a detour into NXT for a while. They'll probably be featured more. The Women's Dusty Classic has probably shown that, again, that the NXT divisions have a little more depth than the main roster divisions. I'd be more than happy to see them titles go to Kai and Gonzalez. What about you guys? Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think they at some point, they're switching it off. Baszler and Nia Jax will be a good kind of thing to do. I think that the eternal problem with like the women's tag is that it's never a team, is it? It's like, if we kind of look towards the men's, it was MSK against Grizzled Young Veterans, and they were a tag team, whereas it's two people kind of thrown together. I know, like Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez. That's right on it. She's like been the muscle for Dakota Kai and that kind of thing, but it's still, there's no like, I know it sounds really daft and kind of naff and kind of like 90s wrestling kind of thing, but it's nice when the tag team have a name kind of thing and that kind of thing, whereas the women, it's just like, alright, we've got nothing for these people to do. Right, let's stick them together in a team. Do they need a name? Nah, be alright, kind of thing. And that's what it's kind of been like, Asuka, before Baszler and Jax, it was Charlotte Flair and Asuka, and it's kind of been that kind of lineage of it. There's been no lineage of it, kind of thing. So it'd be quite nice to kind of, if they kind of looked at doing like a proper women, not a proper women, it kind of sounds condescending there, but kind of giving them like names and stuff like that, and giving it a good run, like you said, in a brand that has kind of actual women's tag teams kind of thing, like Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell with the Way could kind of come into it and stuff like that.
Absolutely no surprises that they are one of my favourite things in wrestling at the moment. Absolutely.
The Way.
Yeah, absolutely love that. Did you seen all the stuff with the broken arm in the last few weeks leading into the title match with Kushida? When he put the X-ray up on the screen and he's got his left arm in a sling, but then the X-ray clearly says it's his right arm or whatever it was. It was I did enjoy all of that. That was very good. So yeah, as Matt's mentioned, MSK did beat Grizzly Young Veterans in the finals of the men's. As a British wrestling fan, a little disappointed that Grizzly Young Veterans, even though Gibson is a Scouser and, shoes off if you hate Gibson, little disappointed that they've now made the final 2 years running and haven't managed to get pushed onto the holding the trophy. But
on the other side, massive sort of like show of confidence that they've put them in the finals 2 years running. So they're obviously confident that they can hold a match that deserves a big spotlight and stuff like that. So
took some big names, like some big NXT names on the way through that tournament as well. So that was, that was quite impressive. And there's been all the way through the men's. There's been some cracking matches. Like on paper, if you'd have had any takeover, if you'd have had Ciampa and Thatcher versus Undisputed Era as some kind of main event echelon kind of match, you'd have taken that, and we got that on like weekly programming because of the Dusty Cup. So
it's just, I mean, when I was watching it, I nearly messaged you guys just with the moment that Zach Gibson's like, "Oh yeah, you two in your green pajamas," and I was just like, yeah, I'm done right now. It's just. Obviously, it's that kind of. It's why he's like one of the best, if not the best heel in the world at the moment. Is that just like, oh yeah, you've got this story about your dad and your dad taking you to the wrestling and him dying, and well, yeah, we're going to ruin that dream for you. You can put away your green pajamas, and you're like, that's just brutal. And obviously, it was like, all the comment, Vic Joseph and Beth Phoenix is giving the big licks on the back story to one of the guys from MSK, and he's just like, yeah, fuck that kind of thing. Let's just rain on that parade nice and quickly kind of thing. I was just thought it's kind of harsh but clever kind of thing. It's just like what he does.
Anybody managed to find out an official source on what MSK actually stands for at this point? Because I can't find anything, and the nearest I got was marijuana smoking kids, which kind of fits the characters.
Yeah, surprised with that one.
And it's how they can get around the PG label by still getting it in there. Yeah, I'm not sure, but we'll wonder if that'll ever come out at any point. And I guess the only other thing from that show was that in the end, all of the champions retained their titles, which was a bit of a surprise. I expected at least one title change, probably in the women's match. Was a little hopeful that Toni Storm might get the nod, but no, Io Shirai still got that one. Gargano still. Go on, Matt. Sorry.
That one's got a lot. I think that the Toni Storm Io Shirai thing's probably got something to. It's like got a bit of distance left to go with it, because obviously Io Shirai pinned Martinez, didn't she? So I think there'll be an element of Toni Storm being like, "Well, hang on a minute,
bit more time.
You didn't beat me," kind of thing. So it'll build up. I would assume that she'll probably get the title sooner rather than later.
And then we obviously Kushida, which again I expected this to change hands as well. I thought Kushida might take the title from Gargano, but no, not to be.
That match was awesome.
It was great, wasn't it?
It was just like, because I thought there was going to be like shit and shenanigans with it, and that it was going to be just like ruined, but it's just like insane. I mean, it's like one of them things where I'd watched it and you thought, well, I can't get any better than that. And then the tag team match was great, even though like the result was a bit predictable kind of thing. That this big tag team that they signed from another company has kind of come there. But then obviously, yeah, it was just great. It was just really good, kind of well kind of written, match. It was good.
And then the one retention I expected obviously then did happen as well with Balor hanging on to the NXT title, because I think the Pete Dunne thing, like you said about the women's story's got more mileage in it. Pete Dunne's got to be around that title picture still. Got to be. good performance. Obviously, then we had the possible implosion of the Undisputed Era at the end of the match as well, with Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly, and Roderick Strong coming out to make the save from the beatdown of Danny Burch and Oney Lorcan. And then it ends with Cole kicking Kyle O'Reilly in the face, which obviously had me crying into my breakfast on the morning. Been a big UE fan, but we'll see where that goes. Hopefully all is not lost on that front, but we shall find out. Speaking of NXT, there's been some new signings as well. More in the NXT UK camp, in the sense of you might have seen that Millie McKenzie has been signed to an NXT UK deal in the last couple of days. 20-year-old girl, been making waves for some time really in the British wrestling scene. Obviously, as with everything, COVID kind of put paid to her any momentum, but she's, for a 20-year-old lass, she's been around a while, hasn't she? She's got some experience, so that should be interesting. In probably the least shocking signing in the world ever, the son of William Regal has been signed to NXT UK under the name of Bailey Matthews. So that's
NXT UK?
Yeah.
I didn't even know that William Regal's kids would be over here.
Well, his build has been from Blackpool as well, so he's ticking all of the family boxes. But yeah, so they're kind of on the back of the Miko Satomura signing from January. They seem to be bolstering the ranks big time in NXT UK. So kind of watch this space. I reckon that they're going to be trying to push a few through there. But then Matt's pick for the surprise in the Royal Rumble, Taya Valkyrie decides to show her face, sign a deal in the last week, but it's not confirmed as to where she's going yet. It's one of them. She could go straight to the main roster if she
Raw.
Yeah. Wonder why she might go to Raw. It's absolutely.
As a giant, they could just send her to SmackDown and be like, "Yeah, just get on with it. Just get yourself around when the world starts turning again."
For the uninitiated, she's married in real life to John Morrison, who is currently on the Raw roster. But yeah, so three sort of reasonably big signings in the last week, so that's a bit more to go at. Speaking of Millie McKenzie, she has heavily featured in Progress Wrestling, and as Matt is currently sporting the T-shirt for the YouTube viewers. Progress Wrestling finally makes its return. So after the murky period that Brit Wrestling has been through, it is making a return this weekend with Chapter 104. Obviously, still been on lockdown here in the UK. There is no live crowd as such, but it is, for the first time ever, being shown on the WWE Network. So it's returning with a natural progression series. So fans of Progress will know tournament base, and the winner it'll be a title match of their choosing, as it has been previously, isn't it?
Yeah. Title match of their choosing. Yeah.
So they have the opportunity of going for the tag titles or the Proteus Championship, if that's still around. We'll find out when it relaunches this week. Or the Progress World title, currently in the possession of one Cara Noir. And the last kind of thing in between will probably be, since the last podcast, there's been a working relationship seems to have been struck up between Impact Wrestling, AEW, and New Japan. You probably guess from the amount of WWE that we do cover and obviously that we talk about, not massively high up on the agenda, but three of the kind of second biggest companies, if you like, all joining forces. I wouldn't have thought they'll be gunning for any crown as such, but they're definitely there to provide some kind of alternative. And for the people that are switching off from WWE, definitely, three of the biggest companies in the world of wrestling joining forces is definitely going to bring some viewers in. So it'd just be kind of interesting to see where that goes now.
New Japan have just got a TV deal, haven't they, in America? To do New Japan US, I think. And obviously they've got I think they've got a channel on Roku over here, so you can access it through like various means. But yeah, I think that's it's the only way that any of those three companies are going to get even close to kind of doing anything with WWE is they've got to kind of work together and provide the big names before like we said, Kushida jumped ship to go to WWE from New Japan because there wasn't much else for him to do. So whereas if you can vary it up and provide different kind of places to kind of go and wrestle and see different things, then that'll be there for them.
Yep. I'm interested to see what it, especially when the international touring and stuff starts again. The fact that AEW have quite happily confirmed, that they want to do shows over here, and if you can then go to an AEW show and perhaps see somebody from New Japan or some of the bigger names from Impact or whatever, it kind of adds an extra layer to the excitement of wanting to actually go to see it live as well. So could be interesting.
They'll probably I would presume they'll probably try and coordinate it so that, because obviously New Japan do a show over here now or kind of a weekend over here, so they'll probably try and coordinate it so they're all at a similar time to really kind of get that hype going.
Yeah.
So that pretty much sums up everything that's happened since last time around. I think we'll probably take a short break now, and as Andy will lead us into that, we shall be back momentarily with the Elimination Chamber predictions.
Boom. Right. We'll be right back. Now we're back.
And we're back. Okay, so straight in then. Elimination Chamber predictions time. As we mentioned at the top of the podcast, we do have a new guest predictor this time. So big shout out to Gaz. Thank you very much, sir, for putting your predictions in for us. I've known Gaz a few years now. One of the former football crew. It turns out we had a bit of a wrestling background in common as well. So got in touch after the last podcast on the old Twitter. So feel free to do the same, and you could be predicting next time out. So at time of recording, as always, we will go with the card that has currently been set. So we have 5 matches have been confirmed this time round. Still taking place, as always, in the Thunderdome. Still, for the time being, based in Tropicana Field. However, COVID's going to have to hurry the fuck up and go because baseball season starts very soon. So otherwise we'll be moving those 1,000 LCD screens again. So yeah, this time I say there's 5 matches confirmed, but I'm going to start especially with one match because, for want of a better expression, given the circumstances, there could be some jiggery-pokery going on. And with that, the Raw Women's title match for Elimination Chamber was set as Asuka, the reigning and defending current champion, to defend against Lacey Evans. It's a bit of an odd one, this, and still not actually sure it's going to go ahead. Lacey's been feuding with Charlotte Flair of late, and Lacey Evans has adopted Ric Flair as her manager, but kind of weirdly in the sugar daddy role, and it kind of makes my skin crawl a little bit to watch it. I guess that's the point that they're going for. I guess the premise is Rick is tired of Charlotte keeping him out of the spotlight, and Asuka's now been dragged into this because she was, as Matt mentioned earlier on, was Charlotte's tag team partner. But yeah, this past Monday on Raw, there was a tag team match, which was Evans and Peyton Royce versus Charlotte and Asuka. And as Evans was tagged in, she then jumped off the apron and backed away from the ring, and then announced to the world that she was pregnant. It was a bit. Have you guys seen this? Bit of a strange one, because I didn't really know how to react to it at the time because I thought it was all storyline.
Yeah, obviously they're kind of, either it's the greatest work ever, kind of on the Chris Brooks getting a title shot just before he leaves Japan in progress kind of level of work, where kind of thing, or it's just actually she's pregnant, and and Vince is having mandatory sterilisation for all female wrestlers in the future.
Well, they're not, the male and female wrestlers aren't allowed to twitch. It's just a different twitch he's curing, essentially. With that. Yeah, so when she announced it, Ric Flair kind of celebrated like he'd won the lottery, which instantly made me feel a bit sick in my mouth. And like I say, I assumed it was storylines, but varying reports since Monday night have said that the pregnancy may now in fact be legitimate in real life, presumably without the involvement of one Mr. Ric Flair. So it has thrown a bit of doubt into the match. What I'm going to do for the predictions, however, is we will still go with making a prediction, because assuming WWE take the usual mantra of a match has been advertised and therefore some kind of match will take place, if they replace Lacey Evans and you pick Lacey Evans, you can have the point if the challenger then wins. If you pick Asuka and obviously she retains, if the match doesn't happen at all, then obviously it's big fat donuts all round. So yeah. So as new guest predictor, I'll kick off with Gaz's prediction. He has predicted Asuka to win, and he's even gone so far to be so bold on his first ever prediction that it's going to be by disqualification. He did message me to say that he thinks that's because they're going to set up for Asuka Charlotte at Mania again down the road, but we'll see where that goes. So he has gone for an Asuka disqualification. Any of you gentlemen care to jump in?
I'd like to have Asuka to win, but not by disqualification, please.
Okay.
Same for me.
Okay. You gentlemen are both in the book. Mr. Cook?
It's gonna be Lacey Evans, isn't it?
Lacey or other?
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? Is it kind of like am I cheating somewhat by going, well, I'll pick the one that is absolutely not going to wrestle, and then they're going to have to beef that match up. So they're going to have to put somebody in that's going to be worthy.
So
if Connors is going to get involved.
So basically, you so far, Matt and Kaz and Paul have picked one wrestler. Andy has just picked the entire female division.
Yeah.
Never let it be said that I don't play for points. I'm all about the points.
I was going to say, hey, I'll tell you something. More fool me, Matt and Gaz.
Apart from when I'm like, I want Brock Lesnar to win the Rumble if it's not Stone Cold or The Rock.
Well, on this occasion, if Lacey or anybody else other than Asuka wins that match, you will solely get the point, because I have also gone for Asuka to retain. So
points.
He's not saying he's desperate to get his hardware back already, but
my trousers have fallen down, so
for the YouTube viewers, don't stand up, Andy.
That's some deep cuts right there for you boys. Deep cuts.
Getting over after dark. Moving swiftly along to another kind of title. The US title match has been billed as defending champion Bobby Lashley taking on both Keith Lee and Riddle in a triple threat. But this has been another match that could have been reported to be having some issues, because not because of any pregnancies this time around, I hasten to add, but Keith Lee wasn't on Raw this week, and there's been a bit of speculation that it could either be injury based or a bit more COVID based. Obviously, he was kept out of the Rumble due to his wife to be contracting the COVID around the time, so he was isolating. But I guess kind of time will tell on this one. The match has been built around Riddle's inability to beat Lashley so far, and Lee said, right, well, it's my turn now. And then there was another match with Riddle and Lashley where Riddle won by disqualification. So technically he won, so therefore puts him back in the title picture. So it's kind of logically built to a triple threat. Not one that I'll be disappointed to see if it actually happens, and don't think it'll be the worst match. I think it's should be fairly decent. But based on those three names, who's gonna come out on top?
I'm going to stick with Lashley.
Okay. Any particular reasoning?
I don't know. Obviously, if Keith Lee was definitely going to be in it, I probably would have gone with him. But if he's not, then I think they're going to keep that title on Lashley. I don't think. I mean, obviously, there's been the build to it, but I just don't think Riddle's just at the right place at the moment to kind of have that belt and carry that belt and that type of thing. So, I'll just keep it on Lashley for now.
Okay, I'm seeing some nods of agreement in the gallery. Mr. Cook,
Yeah.
getting in on Lashley as well?
I'm not. I'm maybe or maybe not playing for points this time round. Absolutely everything that Matt said there. I think they'll just leave it as it is for this one.
Get up, Paul.
Yeah, again, agree with what the boys have said there. I think it's that sort of thing where you'd imagine that if they're going to change the title, then it's a sort of to cheap. Come to WrestleMania, you'll see a title change. We'll give you the US title as a sort of a first one of the night to go, sort of throwaway one in sort of ways. But Lashley's been quite strong since he's held that title, so I can't see him just like having him lose on like what is essentially a throwaway pay-per-view just to get us to WrestleMania. So
I'm exactly with what you guys and what Matt said about if Keith Lee was nailed on, I would have picked Keith Lee, because I do think we're getting into the realms of the US title picture needing a bit of a freshen up, and Lee, if he's not going to be in the main title picture, is definitely the man to do it. But while there's doubt in that situation, they're just going to keep it on Lashley. So I've also gone for Lashley, but this time around, playing for points out there on his own, his guest predictor, Gaz has gone for Keith Lee. So whether he knew the situation, whether he's gone in blind, who knows? But he, if that comes off, he will gain himself a point all on his own. So moving on, we have, as the title may suggest, some Elimination Chamber matches to predict, and the first on the predictions card is the SmackDown Elimination Chamber match. Roman Reigns has reportedly requested to not be defending the title inside the chamber, which fits the character as well, but it's also on the basis that it differentiates the Universal title from the WWE title, because that is to be defended inside the chamber, which we'll get to that later on. So basically, 6 guys are going to go at it. The winner receives a Universal title shot on the same night. So what we'll do now is we'll go for the SmackDown Chamber match and then the winner of the Universal title match. Kevin Owens and Jey Uso were the first 2 to be added straight into the chamber. That was by Adam Pearce, the WWE official, continuing that story as well of him getting under the skin of Roman Reigns, because KO was the obvious choice after some dodgy handcuff shenanigans at the Royal Rumble. But Jey Uso, I didn't kind of expect, and I don't think anybody did, and I think as well, like Roman Reigns not expecting that was kind of where they were going with it. So that's kind of a cool pick. I'm okay with that. But the others all qualified by way of winning tag team matches. So the winning pair basically got themselves in. So the 6 for the SmackDown Chamber match in full are Kevin Owens, Daniel Bryan, Cesaro, Jey Uso, Sami Zayn, and Paul's favourite, King Corbin. So who is winning the SmackDown Chamber match? I'm going to start. Let's start with Paul, as we mentioned his favourite last. Who is winning the SmackDown Chamber match and going on to the Universal title match?
At TLC, it was Owens, wasn't it? It was Owens versus Reigns.
Yeah.
They tend to like doing things in 3s, don't they? 3 seems to be the magic number for them. So if you lose 3 times against an opponent, you're done. you're out of the picture, you're out of the sort of storyline, etc., etc. So stick me down for Kevin Owens to win it and then just get probably punked in about 30 seconds by Reigns.
So we're going to do this as doubles then. Okay, so you have gone for Kevin Owens to win the Chamber, but then Roman Reigns
to retain.
Okay, so I can tell you right now that Gaz has gone for the exact same scenario. I'm assuming that they're going to play it out almost in like a reverse Money in the Bank, in the sense of the SmackDown Chamber match is going to finish, Reigns is going to come to the ring, bosh, job done, is what I'm thinking for that kind of prediction.
Maybe without even raising the Chamber.
Yeah, maybe
possibly.
Maybe so. Andy, do you want to jump in next? So
I like everything that's been said. I like it all. I'm on board. Just stick me down for Cesaro though, yeah.
So, but are you going Cesaro and then Reigns? I'm assuming.
Absolutely.
Okay. I will jump in now, and I was also going to pick Cesaro to win and then Reigns to win. But purely from a points base and of the experience in previous years, I'm going to pick Daniel Bryan to win the Chamber and then Reigns to smash him to absolute pieces. So, come on, DB. Do it for the Predictions Championship. Anyway, Matt, final pick on this one for you. Who are you going with for the Chamber?
If it hadn't been predicted twice already, I think I would have gone Kevin Owens and then Roman Reigns. But I'm going to go Jey Uso. Because obviously Adam Pearce has put him in there. Is he going to kind of get some kind of retribution kind of thing? And kind of put Jey Uso, like, somehow get him to win it, and then Roman has to come in. I mean, it'll be like I presume it'll be a really kind of poor kind of title defense, or whether he'll try and push Jey Uso's buttons to the point of kind of really fighting kind of thing. So
I'm wondering if, because they've been through that kind of process before. Like, I think it was back in Hell in a Cell, wasn't it? I think last year it was around that time that he was actually giving it a go, and then he conformed to Roman Reigns' ways. But I wonder if you could be right, but then we're going to get the recycling's good for the planet and all that. Is it going to be like Finger Poke of Doom 2.0 2021?
Yeah, that's what I'm kind of like. He'll lie down and that'll be kind of thing, and it'll be that kind of Adam Pearce thinks he's got one over on Roman Reigns, but actually Heyman and Reigns kind of stand and laugh at him, and whether Jey Uso kicks out of it once and then Roman lays him to waste kind of thing, just to put him back into his kind of thing again.
Do you, like, as a side note, do you think we're ever actually going to get to see Adam Pearce wrestle in WWE the way this is going?
I think they're building to it, but when, I'm not entirely sure.
I just hope it's not at Mania, because it points to that, doesn't it? It points to him being like, I don't know how they're going to do it, but it'll be some kind of fuck-eyed shit match that you just think.
For the first time ever, here they are presented.
The first time ever. I mean, just on a little side note with the first time ever thing, everybody in WWE must have just been at full standing attention when it was like, wait a minute, Pete Dunne, Finn Balor, the first time ever. And it was just like tables, just like were raised a couple of inches off the floor, kind of thing. A moment that the first time ever. It's never happened anywhere. They must have scoured like cards throughout the world just to make sure that it was 100% first time ever. Because dear God, they said it so many times in that match. It was just unbelievable.
I think you're giving them too much credit there, Matt. I think they said it was first time ever, so therefore people just believe it regardless. So I don't know. I have a sneaking suspicion that the Adam Pearce thing will eventually lead to like a special guest referee issue rather than a match. but we'll see, I guess. So I feel like we've actually rattled through these predictions a little bit, considering. But the last one on the card is the Raw Chamber match, which is for the WWE Championship. So you will therefore know that one of the competitors in the match is the defending champion Drew McIntyre versus Kofi Kingston, Jeff Hardy, Randall Keith Orton. I'll put you down for that now, shall I, Andy? Yeah. Just yeah. Mr. AJ Styles and Sheamus. So, for those that have been watching Raw in the last few weeks but might not quite be up to date, you might be wondering what's happened to The Miz, seeing as The Miz was advertised for this match. On Raw this past week, Miz actually removed himself from the Elimination Chamber match. It's kind of his way of kind of smartening up, if you like. So he's got the money in the bank still. He doesn't need to be in the chamber to get his championship opportunity. And he tried to get John Morrison in on the act. Kofi then pointed out that it was supposed to be between former WWE champions. That was the kind of premise that was set up initially. So they set up a match between Kofi and The Miz, and whoever won basically got their own way. And Kofi beat The Miz. So that puts Kofi into the Elimination Chamber almost in a mirror image of 2 years ago, where Kofi Mania began. And then Kofi took the title at WrestleMania, but could the same thing happen this time around? What are we thinking?
No.
I did my best, Paul, to build it up, and you just shot me into flames. Then that's the.
I think it's that the whole Miz thing is the smoke screen in it. It's obviously that they've sort of done it to put the sort of he's excused himself out of the match. That must mean he's going to cash in the briefcase. Which obviously means he won't cash in the briefcase. But now it means that I'm going to double swerve and say that he does cash in the briefcase. So I reckon Drew will win the match.
Okay.
But Miz cashes in.
Okay. Now, is the cash-in going to be successful? Are you having that as a successful cash-in?
Yeah, go on then.
Okay. Well, I can tell you that Gaz has gone similar, but could still take a point if the cash-in happens, on the basis that he has picked AJ Styles to win the chamber match, but Miz to cash in successfully. Matt, do you want to go next?
Yeah, Drew to win, and yeah, no cash in. I don't think he's going to cash it in.
Okay. I mean, I should have let Andy go there because I'm already putting in Randy Orton. Am I right?
Randall, Keith, McIntyre. It's Drew McIntyre all the way, baby. Normally, like you said, you can always predict if Randall Keith's there, his name's going in that box, but not this time.
You see what he's done there, lads? Is he's swerved us, bro. I like
the swerve thing. I'm digging this swerve thing, so I thought I'd give it a try. It feels real good. I like it. I'm with it.
Gotta get your cheap thrills these days.
I'm torn now on this.
I like Natalie and Brulia. Calm down.
Whoa, 90s reference.
Yes!
Nothing's fine. I'm torn. No.
Oh no!
So,
oh no!
I think.
How do you kick people out of these meetings again?
I'm wondering if, because this whole build on Raw has been, look at me, I'm so smart, I'm taking myself out, actually will then lead to him cashing in during the chamber rather than like after the chamber.
So to do that, would he have to wait until someone's been eliminated and the door opens and then he just runs in?
This is the most, like, in terms of people on WWE programming in the last 10 years, this is the most slimy, weaseling MFer that's been on TV. If there is a slight crack in the door, he will find a way in. If he has to smash through the back of one of the pods, or because they have the new chamber these days, that I will call the new chamber, where the things slide out. So who's to say that that there's not a different in? I mean, for God's sake, they had Otis in it. Was it Otis in last year's where somebody went through the back of it? That could happen, and he could just saunter in with the case. I don't know. I'm kind of torn because I did want to pick just a straight Drew McIntyre win, as I always just want to pick a straight Drew McIntyre win. I don't know. WrestleMania at this point in time, I believe they are planning on having fans in attendance on the basis that it's in the Super Bowl stadium and fans were at the Super Bowl. However, that's kind of pinning me more to Drew. I think Drew is a bigger draw at the moment than The Miz. But is he going to cash in or not? I can't.
But is Drew not a bigger draw chasing the championship at WrestleMania where you might see the big win?
I don't think The Miz is a big enough name for him to just go in and demolish. But then, oh my God, I feel like my brain is like falling out of my mouth at the moment because I'm trying to make a decision whilst I'm talking. I'm screw it. I'm not even going to play for points. I'm just going to go Drew McIntyre. End of. No cash in. I'll keep the cash in, and as well if they can, because WrestleMania is over 2 nights again this time around. So who's to say they won't have a WWE Championship match 2 nights running technically? We'll see.
How would they do that though?
Because they could have him defend it successfully on the first night, and then the Miz will be like, right, I'll have you tomorrow.
Yeah, I suppose. I was going to say there's nothing that says that you have to cash in whilst the match is ongoing. You could just tell him you want a match there and then. That'd be interesting. That'd be interesting if they sort of like ran a storyline where like Drew's in street clothes and he's just walking around, and Miz just goes, "I want the match now," and he's in full gear.
Like the 24/7 champion.
Yeah. To which we end up with R-Truth as the 24/7 WWE champion.
I'm funny now.
Yeah. Shh! Don't you dare swear. Don't you dare mention that name. I think that's one thing that we didn't mention on the podcast was the fact that for the Royal Rumble, myself and Mr. Moore were fortunate enough to get Thunderdome tickets, and they didn't have a live microphone for Bad Bunny. So for everybody who watched it on the network, because we didn't have to listen to that. They basically made us watch a man gyrate around Booker T for 3 or 4 minutes, not actually performing. And Booker T looked well happy about it as well, didn't he? So
it was just weird. It was really weird.
Is that Booker T in the top left-hand corner there?
It was
like
like
a little bunny dancing around him. Put that in. Edit that in. Kind of post there.
It's like when you hear you see like a game on a shit like crappy ITV game show where it's like, right, the first one to laugh loses, and Booker T's like, definitely not going to laugh at this, whilst like one of them's like all like in his face. That better not be the thumbnail, Andy. I'm just telling you.
And if it doesn't pick it, I'm picking it.
But yeah. Fortunately, we avoided that, and I haven't gone back and rewatched the Rumble purely for that reason. So I'm sure it brings in hundreds of viewers for the people that actually give a shit. But
I'm sure it brings in tens of viewers, 10 viewers at least. It was awful. It was bordering on being an insult. I had the misfortune of catching it the day after, and I was just like, this. It was physically painful. Like every aspect of it, I was just like, why? I think somebody's job at WWE like headquarters is like, how do we piss people off more? Has anybody got any ideas? Because I've run dry this week. What? That's going in because that's fucking awful. Excuse my language, young viewers.
I mean, you might have, regular listeners and viewers may have noticed that we haven't had a Ready to Grumble for a while. I daren't mention the topic this time around because I just figured all four of us would be like Bad Bunny, and that would be it. They wouldn't even be like a 30 seconds. It would just be 2 words, and that would be it.
Well, it doesn't look as if he's done with the company, does it?
Oh, no.
Well, no, as Matt alludes, the current 24/7 champion.
Yeah,
expect to see him WrestleMania weekend, I would say.
Yeah, well, they're trying to tie him in with Priest, aren't they? Like, Damien Priest is like his protector of sorts.
I mean, talk about a guy who you could strap a rocket to and send him to the moon, but then actually we'll just tie 60 bags of concrete to his ankles at the same time. It's just no. I'm very happy for Damien Priest. It was great to see him in the Rumble to make a decent effort in the Rumble. But Jesus Christ, if this is what they've called him up to the main roster for, like, really?
You haven't got previous.
Well, this is just them, as Andy says about how can we piss people off more. How much did I complain about Gronk being 24/7 champion? I take it all back.
I'd take Gronk in a freaking heartbeat at this point in time.
But it's a proper joke now because it's been, what is it, Pete Rosenberg, who's a radio DJ presenter guy, obviously won it at the Rumble pre-show, was it?
Yeah, no, it was on the main show, wasn't it?
So then it got passed over to, who was it?
Doug Flutie. Doug Flutie won it at the touch football game or whatever it was.
And then it somehow kind of made its way back to...
it was Truth again after that one, and then Akira Tozawa, and then it was the Tozawa backing up after he'd won, holding the title high, and backed into Damien Priest, who then threw him into the flight case thing, and yeah, so Bad Bunny didn't even do anything to actually win the title either. He literally just covered the guy, and then yeah,
because Damien Priest was like, I don't fucking want it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, just man. Yeah, I cannot say enough bad things about Bad Bunny, but you know we could be here more than our allotted time. So so that with a little grumble at the end wraps up all the predictions. Everything that's pretty much happened of note since last time we were on with you. Has anybody got anything else that they want to bring up?
Just brief, kind of like, obviously with the going back to the Progress thing on Saturday, obviously Kid Lycos is back. We'd kind of seen what we thought was retirement for him at kind of like 20, 23, 24, if that. But obviously he's back with the new horror and Lycos 2. And just hopefully, good luck to him. Hopefully that everything kind of goes well with that. And just another kind of like, I think I've mentioned it before, but the Beyond Gorilla, who's like I don't know what he's kind of like they're a media company that does a lot of stuff with wrestling, like the promos that he's done with Kid Lycos and Lycos 2, and the stuff that he does with Pac or Adrian Neville as he was in a former life. The promos that he does with him are absolutely outstanding. So yeah, if you go on the kind of Instagram or something like that, look up Beyond Gorilla and lose about an hour of your life watching the awesome promos that he does, because there's a really good like little sneaky one in there with Eddie Kingston and Mad Kurt for Rev Pro Wrestling, which is also awesome. So yeah, good luck to Kid Lycos, and go and check out Beyond Gorilla. Free plug for Beyond Gorilla, but it's outstanding promo work and outstanding artistry for wrestling. I think is the thing for me. Is it's just kind of a next level, really.
I did very much enjoy after the the storied history of Lycos's injuries, the fact that they've billed him as full metal Lycos on the advertising, that kind of brought a smile to the face. I did enjoy that. And speaking of losing an hour of your life, like we gave him a mention at the top as he introduced the show. Go on YouTube and look up Danhausen as well, because
love that Danhausen.
That Danhausen, yeah, brilliant stuff. Right, anything else, gents? We all good? Right, well, enjoy the weekend to come. Enjoy WWE Elimination Chamber 2021. Hit us up with your predictions, and big thanks to Gaz for dropping his to us as well, and give us a mention on the old Twitter and the YouTubes, and maybe you could be guest predictor next time. Cheers, guys.
So there we go. What do you think of that? Did you like the video at the start? Super cool. Big thanks to Stu for sorting that one out. If you're a YouTube subscriber, you're a hero. Don't let anybody tell you differently. And if you're an audio subscriber on SoundCloud or iTunes, yeah, you're a hero too. Everybody jump over to thecookiecast.com. Check us out over there. Drop us your predictions. Probably best to do it in an email, but I suppose you could do it over Twitter. I mean, Instagram's just making it harder than needed. Facebook? All the links are over there, so jump over there. Check us out. That's it for this one. Until next time, I'm going to say bye, and I'll see you then. Bye!